Hey guys, it's Dr. Sam Robbins. Today's topic is about porn and if it can negatively affect your sex drive and libido and cause erectile problems, and also how it can affect your just intimacy if you're in a relationship, and how it affects different hormones and testosterone and dopamine and so forth. And I'll reveal the problems as it relates to watching porn or too much porn and even orgasms and all that. And then, of course, solutions. So let's first start with the problem as it relates to dopamine and why porn is addictive. Basically, when you watch porn, it causes like a huge spike in dopamine. And similar to drugs, again, not as bad as cocaine, but you've heard about dopamine, and dopamine, some call it the pleasure hormone, but it's more like the seeking for more neurotransmitter hormone. So when you watch porn, you get that dopamine hit, so you keep wanting more and more and more, just like any drug. So that's something to keep in mind. So because of this, your brain eventually just adapts to this over time. And so normal stimulation, like real life sex with your partner and so forth, becomes less rewarding and less exciting because it's just bored. Studies have basically shown that just excessive porn leads to dopamine desensitization, and therefore your body just requires more extreme content to get the same high. Basically, for example, I remember when I was younger, again, much younger, if I just saw a girl's areolas, right? And I was like, oh my God, bang. And later on, if I just saw, back in the day, we'd had like magazines and like Playboy and Penthouse and all that stuff. Like that stuff was amazing. And then one day, you saw the lower body too. I'm like, holy moly, and so on and so forth. But as you get older, if you watch porn too much, you constantly need more. And at first you're just looking for regular hot chicks or this and that. Then you start going all sorts of different fetishes. And that's when it's become addictive, because the dopamine is not working the same, right? It's like you get a little bit of caffeine, you get so energized. But if you have, caffeine all the time and so forth, now you're drinking like 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee and your body's totally assimilated and adapted to it. So now you're not getting that same high. Keep that in mind. So the other problem is the link between porn and erectile dysfunction, basically porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And I mention this because something interesting is happening these days, that especially in younger men, that they're having erectile dysfunction, but not because of aging, but from mainly just having too much porn. They're watching too much porn. And therefore, again, like real life intimacy just doesn't match up. Okay, it's not as good and so forth, because all that overstimulation of the nature of porn, your brain just doesn't respond as well anymore. In fact, in a study, I think it was 2016, it related porn consumption to lower sexual drive, satisfaction, and performance in men. And I mention this because, when you watch porn, you get to control it, right? You can fast forward, stop, go to the next one, and so forth. So again, you constantly get a little bit higher dopamine. When you're in a regular relationship and it's your, same girlfriend or whatever, you're going to get bored because you're like, hey, I can't fast forward this, or she looks the same as she always does. I just saw like 20 different porns the other day. So now you're comparing it, and it's no different than when you compare, like you get this cool new car and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden your friend gets this like really cool new car and better, and then you start comparing yourself to that. Now you don't feel as good for what you have. And that's what happens when you watch too much porn. You don't appreciate what you have, and it doesn't do the same thing. Next, there is something called the Coolidge effect, and why porn makes you basically bored of real women. And the Coolidge effect is basically it's that men are basically wired to chase new mates, new women, for evolutionary reasons, okay? And this is why men produce, for example, millions of sperms, and women just produce a couple eggs every month, right? So it's just our natural the way we're designed is we're constantly looking for that more, because we keep producing more. And what happens is that porn tricks your brain into constantly thinking that, that you constantly with a new partner. Every time you watch porn, again, you can flip over, you can go for a skinny girl, fat girl, different colors, older, younger, all these different things. So your brain is, hey, new. And that's what it's looking for, but in real world, it's not the same. So this kills your long-term attraction towards a regular partner, your girlfriend or whatever, and basically makes the relationship feel dull and boring. Again, keep this in mind. And so even though we're designed for it, to constantly look for something new and different, that porn keeps reinforcing it. And obviously that's going to hurt regular relationships and your desire with whom you're with. Now, the next question is, does porn lower testosterone levels? Well, the short term, when you watch porn, there's a temporary increase in testosterone boost because you're getting aroused. This is the same thing with sex. When the anticipation, again, dopamine goes up and testosterone will go up. But the long term, the chronic overuse of watching porn actually starts to lower testosterone levels. Just like if you're constantly watching porn all day long, you're having multiple orgasms and all that, there's just dopamine burns out, and then cortisol levels increase with the negative hormone, and then prolactin increases, which lowers, again, all the testosterone, and refractory period increases and all these different things. So this also additionally lowers dopamine. So again, this constant boom, it's not good for your brain. And a 2012 study showed that frequent porn users just have lower sexual confidence as well as motivation. Again, it's the fake world and trying to connect it with the real world. And especially a lot of guys these days, they're like, at home all the time and they're not chasing people. When I was younger, we had to meet people outside. You would go up to someone, you would talk to them, right? And that creates something different. And then you get their phone numbers, you'd pick up the phone, you'd get nervous. What should I say? What if she picks up? What if all these different things created dopamine and created, something to look forward to. But these days, people don't talk to anyone. They swipe. You send a quick text, someone doesn't reply back. You don't care. So all these things just dull you and therefore also lower your confidence and your motivation. Now, there's another negative with porn, watching too much porn, and it's the psychological effects, which can lead to anxiety, depression, and social withdrawal. And basically, many chronic porn users report this increased social anxiety, especially around women. There is lowered self-esteem because of just unrealistic expectations. Again, I'll get to that in a second. For example, they'll have lower self-esteem because they watch guys who on porn, these guys may have better bodies, but obviously they had the huge dicks and they're constantly, doing everything they can. The guy will now have lower self-esteem because he's like, dude, I'm not like these guys. I can't perform like these guys and all that stuff. So that lower self-esteem. And then all this also reduces motivation to seek out relationships. Let alone, most people don't even talk or approach someone on the street in the regular world. You're not even now motivated to interact with someone even on your phone and all that stuff because you just bleh. And some experts basically call this a form of sexual exhaustion, where the brain loses its interest in the real world sexual connection because you're constantly getting stimulated with so many different porn options. Again, the real world becomes boring and bland, dull. It's like black and white, monotone voice sound. When you watch porn, you can do so many different things all the time, anytime, anywhere, any place you can watch it. It's like all these options, and that just, again, it just screws around with your head. All right, so you got all that. Not so good news. So basically, how do you fix these things? How do you reverse the damage? How do you basically increase dopamine, increase the sensitivity, and also increase your testosterone levels? First of all, we're getting dopamine hit all the time. Now I'm focusing today on porn, but if you're swiping all day long, you're getting dopamine hits. And obviously a lot of people probably don't eat well and they constantly eat junky foods. Sugar increases dopamine levels, caffeine increases dopamine levels, and all this stuff desensitizes you to dopamine. A lot of people have this thing called anhedonia. That's basically not happy. You don't get pleasure out of anything in life anymore. And that's happened to me. And is it because of porn? Is it this? No, it's because I was just getting bombarded all the time with dopamine at work and all the different things I needed to do, and it just burned me out. So one thing you can do is reduce dopamine levels. And as far as today's topic is porn, is you need to just quit porn. Now, studies have shown 90 days have reported an increase in testosterone levels, improving dopamine, stronger erections. You have more confidence and motivation, and you also have a lot more desire for sex. Now, I'm not saying, necessarily for you to reduce porn for 90 days, but even if you're doing it daily, take a break for a week and see how you feel. Then take a break for 2 weeks, okay? If porn is an addiction, sometimes you can't just stop anything cold turkey. If you're addicted to alcohol, you shouldn't stop cold turkey because, again, you can have withdrawals and you can have anxiety and all these different things. So lower it. 1 week, get off, and then see how you feel. And then 2 weeks and so forth. Maybe you take these breaks, okay? But definitely you need to reduce it to increase the sensitization to dopamine and also testosterone levels. So what other strategies can you do to improve dopamine levels? Exercising is really important. 3, 4, 5 times a week. Just keep it to about maybe an hour. If you're working out too much, too hard, too long, you'll burn out your body. So that's something to keep in mind. Improving your sleep. Sleep restores everything, including testosterone and dopamine sensitization. So do that. Improving your hormones, dopamine and testosterone. You can take herbs. There's lots of different herbs that increase both testosterone and dopamine levels. I take a product called 𝗧𝗲𝘀𝘁𝗲𝗏. As you may have known, it's been 25 years. I formulated it for myself because of the increase in testosterone, total and free testosterone, and dopamine, while it helps decrease negative hormones such as estrogen and DHT and cortisol levels. So that's something you can try. Again, I'll put the link below. Another thing you can do to improve dopamine levels, in addition to taking 𝗧𝗲𝘀𝘀𝘁, is taking tyrosine, L-Tyrosine, the amino acid. I take about 500 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day on an empty stomach. Don't take it too late at night. And that's because tyrosine is needed to increase dopamine production. So it's kind of like fuels the production of dopamine. I love it. Again, it's really inexpensive. 500 milligrams, take it on an empty stomach. I take it in the morning. I take it at noon. I take it midday. And also gives you a little bit of energy. Same thing with 𝗧𝗲𝘀𝘀𝘁. I take 2 of those in the morning, 2 midday, and 2 later on in the afternoon for 𝗧𝗲𝘀𝘀𝘁. I take it with L-Tyrosine to work great. So there you have it. Again, taking the supplements definitely help. It's the fastest and easiest way, but you do still need to improve your lifestyle and help reduce the porn. Again, try just for a week or 2. I know it's an addiction, but you need to be cognizant of it. So anyhow, this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions below, topics, or I can get detailed for you. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, hit the like button, and take a look at the information below in the description area for additional helpful guides and so forth.